Well, hello, Stampers. It's the Pampered Stamper. My name is Jackie Vander Sarboot, and I'm a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in both Canada and the Netherlands. Happy Wednesday to you. Wednesday means it's time for stamping through my stash. And the reason I do this is twofold, threefold. I try to use everything that I buy. And I try to encourage you that when you purchase your stamp sets and your dies and whatever not, that you right away try them out. And the reason for that is that there's a 3-month guarantee on your products. So you want to know whether or not they are all doing what they should do. And otherwise, you can exchange it for a new one. The other reason is that if you ink up your stamps and use your dies or color or use the new ink pads, it gets you excited and it jumpstarts your creativity. So let's see what I have for you today. I have this gorgeous stamp set called Shepherd's Care. And what I love about this is, of course, to me, I'm a Christian, so Christmas is all about Christ. But I also realize that at Christmas time, it's often a time of loss and grief for a lot of people. A lot of old people die around Christmas time. It's just a fact. So this is just a beautiful stamp set to use for people who are sad. He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. Peace on earth. We've got that beautiful Bethlehem scene, the shepherd with the lamb. It's just really nice. And then I love the wonderful counselor, Prince of Peace, mighty God, everlasting Father. I think it would be great as a focal point stamped out with a circle punch or also on your envelope flap. So let's ink them all up. 3 of them are already on blocks. So we'll do that. And then we're going to finish off with a card. And the card that I'm making was made by my team member, Yvonne McFadden, for her Coffee and a Card class a few weeks ago. I saw it and my jaw dropped. It was just so beautiful. So I am recreating that. So thanks, Yvonne, for the inspiration. Okay, so here we have the shepherd. And it is what's called a distinctive stamp. So I'm going to just zoom in a little bit, and then you can see that the stamp gives you, it looks like a sketch look. It's got dimension to it. It's got some detail. Okay. Then we have the little Bethlehem scene here at the bottom. Somewhere, oh yeah, here it is. I have the Star of David, the star that the wise men followed. And I think that there's no right or wrong way to do this one, okay? So there we have that. I'm just going to peel this off. Normally I clean them before you know what? Actually, I want to show you something. I'm always showing you something. I love to show. These are our regular blocks, and they've got a groove in there that you can hold with your fingers. It's really nice. This block is what's called a paper pumpkin block, and you can get it for $2.50. It's super cheap. It does the job. So when you're just deciding whether or not you want to get into this hobby, this is a great block to get. But truth be told, the investment, once you stamp a lot, this is the better block. But you can see how much thicker it is. It's about 3 times as thick. So, yeah. I'm going to show you maybe next week this amazing product to clean your blocks with. It's a kind of an orange essential oil that I found here in the Netherlands, and I need to talk. I found out that a lady in our church sells this stuff, so now I just have to find time to meet with her. Prince of Peace. Then we have, I don't even know what this is. Another tiny star. See, this is what I mean. I have just discovered something that I didn't know was in there. It's a tiny little star. And see, look, it's hiding out right here at the bottom of the... See, so you might want to use this one with this image and this big one with the shepherd. Then we have a starry scene, and we're going to use that in today's card. Look. This is also a great ink spatter scene. You can see how you can just keep stamping and then you get a lighter look. Looks a little bit like the Milky Way. And then we have 3 sayings, and I'm going to put them all on a block. We're going to take the shepherd off. make sure they're not upside down. 1, 2, that was a bit crooked. I guess it doesn't matter. And here. And then we can start making our card. But it is nice, I've heard anyway, that you do enjoy it when I stamp the things. It gives you an idea of how big the stamps are, the font. Here we go. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, and I apologize if I've already done this in a stamping through my stash. I don't think I did, but if I did, that means that I really absolutely love this stamp set. So I'm exposing it to you. I'm exposing it to you twice. Okay, now, are we ready to make a card? First, I'm going to show you a card that I already made. I made this with a sketch for my cheer corner. No one nominated anyone for this card, but I understand that in Canada there's a strike right now. So in Europe, I can still send cards. So this is a simple card with just textures and some pretty paper and ribbon. And then here's the inside. Okay, so for today's card, we are going to use a Night of Navy base, a white layer, and then a peacock layer. And I will share the dimensions later. Then I've already colored a shepherd, but I'm going to color another one. And what's different about this is I colored it on basic beige paper. So the lamb right away isn't white. I did color him with white, a white pencil here, a white watercolor pencil, just to give him. But this one is he's more of a natural sheep. And then we're going to. I cut this with scissors. It's a piece of basic beige. It's going to go on here. We're going to I'm going to stamp in craft ink. We're going to stamp snowflakes. The shepherd is going to go here. We're going to emboss a gold star. And then we're going to add the Bethlehem scene in the background and then the same. So let's get started. First, we're going to stamp our star and emboss with gold. Okay. Okay, when you emboss, you always take your embossing buddy first and go over the whole thing. That takes away any oily marks from your hands, and then the embossing is only going to stick to where it should. Always make sure that your Versamark pad has been recently re-inked, and always store it upside down. And that way the ink is always at the top of the pad. And then tap, tap, tap lightly. Don't press hard. If you press hard, you're going to get a Versamark on the sides of the stamp too, and you don't want that. So we're going to stamp it right up here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you can see the tone on tone. Now we're going to get our tray. We can hold on to it with our tweezers. And then you take the lid off your embossing powder, pour it on, tap it off, give it a bit of a flick, and then see there's a little spot here yet. There. Now we're going to heat it. Okay, I will not be in the picture on the top left corner. I'm going to get up and grab my heat gun. And now I'm going to explain this before I get started. Don't wave your heat tool around like a blow dryer. You want to keep it in one spot and then watch while the powder changes and then slowly move to the next spot. So let's have a look. Here we go. I just have to change hands. I'm going to turn this on. There's a little button right here. And I'm just going to hold it all above. And now we have to be patient because it needs to warm up a little bit. But you'll see it change. There we go. See? And you just kind of angle it. There we go. Now it is completely embossed. And the neat thing is, I'm coming around again, it dries instantly. And it's got this raised surface. So that's really cool. I'm going to move this away. Usually I clean this up right away, but now I don't want to pause. Now we are going to take this, and I have a little mini craft ink spot. You could also emboss in white, but that might be a bit too much. Tap, tap gently here. And now we're going to stamp some snowflakes. I don't know if it actually gets cold enough to snow in Bethlehem, but it could also be stars. But I think I'm considering it snow. There. And then one more. There. Okay. We're going to let that dry, and then I'm going to show you, here's my one example of the shepherd, and he's been stamped on basic beige. Now this one is very vanilla. So what I'm doing is I'm using the Pretty Peacock. We're going to start with the dark, and what I do is I just go over the lines that the artist did. See? So it's not complicated. And I don't have to think. A little bit in his head here, and around like so. A little bit in here, and a little bit here. And then we're going to go over it and with the light Pretty Peacock. And I'm just going over. And you're going to see when I do this, that it's still kind of blotchy. I can see exactly where the lines are from the dark. And now I'm just going to go with the small one in between, and I want to change it. I'm kind of coloring on an angle, which is a bit weird. Okay, but I don't want those lines to be so dark, so dramatically different. So I'm going to go over with the light and pull those dark colors in a little bit. And then I'll get a little bit more of a gradient. Here. And then, that looks pretty good. You can also then take the color lifter if you want. The color lifter has a white tip. And if you want a little bit more of a gradient in there, you can add a little lifter. We're just going to let that sit and see what happens, and maybe a little bit in here. And now we're going to do his robe. And his robe I'm going to do in crumb cake. So I'm going to start again with dark. And I'm going to do the same thing that I did with the, I forget, the head cover. I'm sure there's an appropriate word. If you know it, please let me know. I think of the word keffia, but I don't think that's what it is. But if that's what it is, then I'm happy that I've dredged it. There. So that's the dark crumb cake, and now I'm going to go over it with the light crumb cake. And again, first I'm just going to fill in the rest of the row, and then you'll see what a difference it is, and that I don't want it to be such a difference because that doesn't look natural. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pull that color out, go over top of it. And then that dark color becomes a little lighter. And I hope I used the right colors. I think I did. Yeah. Now, all of the colors, like white will color a little bit differently than very vanilla. There. Anyway, I think that you can see how the dark is coming out. So I'm pulling it. There. I'm going to leave the white, and you know what I actually did for the bottom here? I actually used a light pool party because I'm not sure what color if the grass is green at this time of year or not. I think if there's snow in the sky, it wouldn't be. So it just gives the illusion of some color. And then I fussy cut it. But now we're going to build our card. Okay, so here's our white. Now you can see that the white has dimmed a little bit. It's not quite as bright as what it was. So let's put our card together. And remember, I'll give you the measurements afterwards. They'll be in the comments. And I'm using, my measurements will be different than those of Yvonne because I'm using centimeters, because I'm using, let me zoom out. I'm using European cardstock, which is a little skinnier and a little longer than our cardstock. Our cardstock in North America is 8.5 by 11, and in Holland, in Europe, it's 8.25 by about 11.75. So that's quite a difference. So I usually kind of guess what the measurements would be in inches. So I will do that for you in both centimeters and inches. And this, I was hoping to have a slightly smaller white margin, but that didn't happen. There. This looks nice too. It really pops. Now, oh yeah, first this. So this is the same width as the Pretty Peacock one. And I just used scissors. We used to have a die that cut that, but you know what? Scissors work just fine. My glue. I'm just checking. Oh yeah, good. Sometimes I hit the wrong button and I was scared for a minute that my video wasn't recording. That's always a nightmare, that you're working away and you're talking away and then you find out you haven't been recording and you have to start all over again. That is not nice when that happens. And then you have to muster the same enthusiasm and pretend you're making the card for the very first time. Okay, so now I'm just going to lay the pieces just so that I know how it's going to go. And then here is my little Bethlehem, and I might even tuck Bethlehem as if it's hiding over the hills and you don't see that it's floating. See, I kind of like that idea. Yeah, I'm going to do that. Okay. And that was my liberty. That's not what Yvonne did. That's okay, you know. When you case someone's card, there's certain things that you do exactly the same, and there's other things that you might do differently out of necessity or just that you have an aha moment as you're making it and you're thinking, oh, that works too. But the beautiful thing is you couldn't have those aha moments if you didn't have the jump start from someone else's work. So I'm really thankful to Yvonne. See, so now it looks like that is just in the distance and it's peeking out over the horizon. I want to pop this up and then I want to pop that over top. And then I'm super happy with this. All right, some dimensionals. And then I haven't come up with something for the inside. I will do that later as well. There. But I was very impressed with the layout of Yvonne's card. I loved how she colored the shepherd, and it was just really beautiful. There. And now that is I'm going to put a dimensional on my right, and then I'm going to put liquid adhesive on the part that's overlapping the shepherd. And then I would love to hear what you think. I just happen to have, this is part of the fun of stamping through my stash, or stamping through my stash. I was making, whenever I emboss, I was making this card and I right away decided to stamp and emboss two sayings because I wasn't sure how I was going to do the card. So it was no extra work. I had this one and it was just, that made my card so much easier. So anyway, thank you for joining me. If you enjoyed this video, I would love to hear from you. I would love to see you in the comments. Tell me where you're from. Share with your friends. Give me a thumbs up and click that share button and the like button and all the things. It just helps. It makes me happy because I have a connection with you and you will be happy because you're making a difference. It's always nice. It's just like when you share a good restaurant or a nice store. It just it's nice. It's nice for your friends because they also get to experience what you experience. Just makes the world a better place. So thank you. I hope you have a wonderful day and a good time leading up to Christmas. And remember, if there are people in your network who are suffering, reach out to them. Don't shy away because you don't know what to say. Then just say that you don't know what to say. I'm here. And that's why it's nice to just pop a card in the mail. Well, now in Canada, of course, you can't. So pick up the phone, drop a card off locally into their mailbox. Happy Mail doesn't have to stop. We don't need Canada Post. Okay. And what I would suggest too is even on my page, you could network with people. And if you know that, if, let's say you have family, like I'm from Chatham, Ontario, but let's say I have family in Nova Scotia, in Kentville. Well, I know that one of my followers, Audrey, lives in Kentville. So I could say, Audrey, do you know anyone that lives in the Chatham area? Or my mom lives in Fergus. I can pop a card in their mailbox. Would you mind popping a card in Oliver and Laura's mailbox? You can help each other out that way. I know it's a bit far flung, but it's amazing what we can do when we get resourceful. So, anyway, have a super day. I'm done yammering. Bye.